I'm Brandon Patrick, and this is my wife Becky. We have 3 kids. Corbin's our oldest, and Claire is our middle, and Trey. And Trey has had an amazing journey up until this point, and we're so excited to be able to share that with you today. Trey's personality is pretty fun, actually.
He's pretty chill. He has a good scream and a really good laugh.
So Trey's our 3rd child, and we had a boy and a girl, and so Becky and I had decided not to find out what the gender was. Becky went into labor very quick at 33 weeks. It was at that point Trey stopped breathing. He stopped breathing, and so
his heart rate like flatlined during my contraction.
I just remember them saying, "Okay, we gotta take your wife right away. This is pretty serious," and they took her off as fast as I could remember, and I remember just sitting there in this room, not really knowing what was going to happen.
The doctors, he was kind of a mystery. No one knew what was going on. It was hard, because that was not really what you want to hear. And we didn't know that there was any complications before, so to be in the hospital and have a lot of unanswers it was really challenging every day to keep going.
We did it!
Every day seemed to be like a new challenge. A new test was run. Had issues with his blood or blood clotting. His platelets were off. He had probably half a dozen blood transfusions in the NICU alone.
The spinal taps.
Yeah, spinal tap. He had
a lot of painful, just really things that are painful for babies. So it was hard to watch him go through that. So just right after he turned 1 is when we finally got the answer. He was diagnosed with what's called TARP syndrome. It's a very, very rare, fatal genetic disorder affecting only males. Found that there was 18 known cases that were reported in their journals. Most of those cases, the children died before birth or within the 1st year of life.
And within the 1st year of life, I think we literally lived in a hospital for about 140 days, which is emotionally draining. It's exhausting. I don't think the whole 1st year of Trey's life we even slept all the way through the night or had a good night's sleep. I think what's a challenge with, what's the daily routine is that we were so used to our lives before, and I think we quickly realized what we maybe took for granted with our other kids.
Nice.
We monitored his oxygen levels at night, and you go into the evening and do more feeds, and giving a bath alone is such a challenge now. It's a process to take the G-tube off and then to clean him properly and fix the stickers on his face and put the oxygen cannula, the nasal cannula back on, and so many different things that by the time you do it all, you get in bed and you just think, oh yeah, we did it. And at that point in time, you either think about everything that happened and struggle to sleep at night, or you crash pretty hard, which is usually me. And Becky's maybe thinking more about everything else, and you get up and you just do it again, and eventually it becomes a routine. I mean, we're beyond grateful for the student body at Riverton High School. I think it's amazing to think of all the good that the students have done there. We're very familiar with Silver Rush and how that's worked, and having nephews that have attended Riverton High School and have graduated and talked about Silver Rush. We're just beyond grateful for the support that we've heard about with helping other families and kids, and I think it's just very humbling for us to be in the situation we are now. So we're just so grateful. We know that all the students there at Riverton work so hard to get out and fundraise and collect donations and tell the story. And Trey has a long one, but it's just beginning. I think we both know that this is still the beginning of his journey. You know, he's still very young, and we don't know what the future will hold. We do know that as he gets bigger and gets older, it's just going to become more and more challenging. We celebrate the little milestones that Trey hits every day. They may be very small compared to many, but we always get excited for those, and we look forward to seeing him continue to defy the odds of TARP and continue.
So we're the Jepsons. I'm Jake Jepson. This is my wife, Brittany Jepson, and we're Porter's parents.
Porter is so mellow-mannered. He is so sweet.
He's just such a happy little boy, and you can just tell he's a little angel.
We had Porter, pregnancy was fine. Even in the hospital, we thought everything was fine. Came home, we were happy as can be. Life was going just as planned. I think around 3 or 4 months old, we started having concerns. He wouldn't look directly at us. It was almost like he would look at us, but look through us. So we took him into the doctor, and he was a chubby, healthy baby. They couldn't find anything wrong with him. The doctor told me that I was just a crazy first-time mom. So we went in for the first MRI, and it came back normal. So we were relieved, thinking, okay, yeah, our kid is just fine.
He'll catch up.
He'll catch up. We are crazy. They were right.
Yeah.
So between 6 months and 12 months in a year, we saw specialist after specialist after specialist. Now, today, we've seen 25 specialists. We've flown around the country to 4 different states. We have been to the best neurological center in the United States, and still today, we don't have one answer. All his tests come back normal. We've done almost every test every doctor can think of. I think we just never imagined we'd have a kid that was blind, not to mention couldn't walk, not to mention can't talk, not to mention we're gonna have to change his diaper his whole life. I mean, Porter's just compounded every problem you can think of. That is Porter in one package. And as a baby, you could never even imagine that. And now, we've had to learn to love him for everything he is, and we try to see the best in him that the world doesn't.
He's almost 4.5 now, and if you have siblings that are 4 years old, or cousins or nieces or nephews, you know that they're talking and they're running around. I think sometimes that's probably the hardest part about it, is just knowing that that's what he should be doing, or wanting to play catch with him, or go ride bikes with him or something. And I think for me that's probably been the hardest thing, is just knowing that I don't know that I'll have that opportunity with him. That was probably a challenging year for us when we had that talk with the doctor about his lifespan. And I think he said, typically children like Porter, who can't support themselves or their body weight, that end up being in wheelchairs, typically they die at a young age from like a respiratory illness, because they get bigger and heavier and their body can't support it. So I remember having a talk with Britt about burying your own child. And I mean, that's, oh boy. That was a hard year for us. The loan was like $7,500. Is there anything we'd like to say to the student body?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh gosh. There's no words. We are so thankful. You guys have no idea. You have no idea. Nobody's ever done anything like this for us. And we are so grateful. This will change his life. It will change our life. Just to be able to have him a part of our family and do normal things is so amazing for us. And we are just so grateful for such a great community. And we hope we can give back just as much as you guys have given to us.
To have a whole high school come together and see the videos that you guys have shown us of how much effort and excitement and just passion that your student body puts into this to help, just to serve other people. Just so many selfless acts of kindness is just, oh, it's incredible. And I can't tell you guys how grateful we are for you. So thank you.
My name is Mitch Meisner, my wife Krista. We have 3 kids. Vance, he's 7. Grayson, he's 3, and Everly's almost 2. And
She's our queen.
she's our queen.
Oh, good job.
Everly was born like completely normal. She didn't have any complications from birth or anything like that. Up until she was 15 months, she got a virus, just like he got it, my son's got it. It was just a little cold, no big deal. And then we came home kind of late that night, put her to bed, and then she didn't wake up the next day. She was just like sleeping in, sleeping in, sleeping in. I was like cruising around the house, getting stuff done. I'm like, she's just not feeling good. She's just sleeping in. I kept like
Just
going.
let her sleep.
Yeah, I was just like, just let her sleep. I just kept going in her room and making sure she was like still breathing, because it started to freak me out a little bit. By the time it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, she never sleeps in this long. So I just kept like going in the room, and I left the door open so I could like hear like the first peep. And so it was probably like 11:30. It was like near lunchtime. I was starting to get lunch ready for the boys, and I was like, okay, this is weird. And I finally heard like a little peep, a little kind of weak whine. So I ran upstairs and I went to pick her up, and she just couldn't get up. She like wouldn't look at me. She couldn't answer to me or anything. Her eyes were like rolling around in her head, and her body was like limp. And I was just like, Everly, Everly, I was trying to get her to respond to me. And so I ran down here, called 911 right away, and was totally panicking. She still wasn't answering me. So I laid her down on the floor, and they coached me in mouth to mouth, because there was a point where they're like, we didn't know if she was breathing or not, and I couldn't tell. It was like such shallow breaths. So they just life-flighted us pretty quick from there up to Primary Children's. And then it was just like specialist after specialist. Like, they didn't really know. It was a mystery for a long time. We were in the ICU for a few days, just trying to diagnose her. She wasn't waking up.
They found out that she had a virus, a respiratory virus. She tested positive for HMPV. For some reason, it got into her brain, so it just affected her.
Super freak thing, like, doesn't happen.
A couple MRIs showed that there had been some brain damage from the virus. It was on her right side of her brain, all over her brain, but most of the damage was on the right side of her brain in the rear. So it affected her ability to wake up, like almost like a permanent nap, and her left side of her body.
And her vision. She was blind for months after.
It was almost like she was born again, like starting over from being a little newborn baby.
It was just a lot of kind of going through the motions in the beginning to get her to relearn things and get her function back. At first, she couldn't eat anything by mouth, so she had a feeding tube that was nourishing her all those weeks that she was asleep. It was really scary.
Yeah.
We didn't think that, we didn't know if she would ever be like our girl that we knew, you know?
She had a personality.
She was
just like how she has now. You can kind of tell.
The first day she smiled after all of this, we threw a party. It's crazy how we got involved with all this and how it all came about. I can't believe that kids your age care about everybody so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Show them how you love them.